It's a warm hello and welcome to Steve Bone, and I'm going to start by Steve asking you for your reaction to the news of Pompey's latest signing.
Yes, we've signed another centre-half, haven't we? Josh Knight, who has been talked about in recent days and recent weeks as a target, has now signed. The club have confirmed it this afternoon, Thursday afternoon. Looks to be a good signing. 27, big, tall centre-half. Was at Peterborough for about 5 years, I think. I don't particularly remember him playing against us. There will be people out there that study the opposition better than I do who will remember him playing against us and hopefully have good things to say about him. Unusual sort of career move in that he came through the academy at Leicester, soon went on to Peterborough, and I think had a little loan spell at Wickham as well, and then from Peterborough turned down a new contract offer for 2024 and went to Germany, went to Hanover, and has played a year and a bit out there. Quite unusual, isn't it, for a player at sort of League One level to get that sort of move? But they obviously saw something in him that they liked, and I mean, you can't with our injury record, you can never have too many centre halves, can you? That's probably partly what's in Pompey's minds in bringing in another one. Be interesting to see what the pecking order is, though.
Yeah, because we now have 5 centre halves. I suppose there now might be a very tiny question mark against the fitness of Bowat.
Yes, yeah, could be, couldn't there? Yeah, and I've seen a suggestion, not from the club, but I've seen suggestions from fans that he could be, as long as he stays fit, and let's hope he does, might he go out on loan for half the season to sort of League One or something like that. Possible, isn't it? Because you don't really need 4 should be enough, shouldn't it? That gives you 2 and 2 backup, plus others in the squad who can play at centre half if they're needed. So you kind of think that having Bowat is one too many. And I've forgotten now, is McIntyre still around? I think he is, isn't he? I don't think he's gone anywhere.
He is.
Not that I don't think the manager would be thinking of using him unless he needed to, but he'd be another one who you would think would move on maybe between now and the end of the window. But it'd be very interesting to see if Knight gets in. I don't think he'll come into the team immediately because he hasn't played this season competitively for Hanover, so I don't think he'll be straight into the team on Saturday. It's not like we've been leaking goals all over the place, is it? We had a shaky first 15 minutes against Norwich at the back where we didn't defend very well, but apart from that we've been okay. So I can't see him separating Poole and Shaughnessy just yet, but a good little battle for two places there, isn't there?
Can that bring out just that little bit extra in a player to know that there's somebody breathing down his neck?
Yeah, I think it can, especially when it's when the person breathing down their neck is a new signing that the club have paid a few quid for. He's come in. You've now got you've potentially got 2 centre halves on the bench on Saturday, who have each cost £1 million and a bit. And that must put pressure on those who have got the places at the moment, mustn't it? They must be thinking, right, the club haven't bought those 2 players just to be fringe players, or just to help carry the kit out, and things like that. So yeah, it does put the pressure on, and hopefully that will have the right effect on the two holders of the places at the moment, Reagan and Connor, and might just give them an extra couple of percent, mightn't it, in their performances? If so, then it's job done, and the manager's got a nice problem on his hands in terms of selection.
One of our mainstays, Callum Lang, is out for between 4 to 8 weeks. If you were John Messina, how would you plug that gap far wide right?
Well, you see, until these last couple of games, Callum Lang wasn't really the person you'd have expected to see wide right, was he? It's only because SEGGS has come in and played at number 10 that Lang has been used out there. So I still think we are one signing short for that position, and I think the manager has said he still wants to sign another. I think when asked, does he want to sign another right winger, his answer was sort of, well, yes, but I don't mind if it's somebody who can play on the right or in other positions. He likes players who can play in 2 or 3 of those front 4 positions, doesn't he? So I think we might see another player like that come in. A lot of people will be saying, and I'm one of them, what a shame that the club and Matt Ritchie have decided that Matt Ritchie's going on, because the club decided at the end of last season that Matt Ritchie wasn't going to be part of things this season, certainly not majorly. That then prompted him to seek a move away, which he's still seeking. So he's not been training with the team. He's not part of the plans, and yet we could do with him, couldn't we? It's ironic, really. I can't see that anyone has gained from this situation at the moment. I don't think it's going to change. I think they've probably gone too far down their own sort of routes, the club and the player, for it to come back now to a position where he might stay. I don't think that's going to happen. And we've brought in others, haven't we? We haven't seen too much out of Bianchini or Yang, the South Korean. Either of those might, in time, prove to be a good wide right player who can can be an assister of goals and who can produce a bit of magic down that side. While Lang's out, the other conundrum I think that seems to have become clear is, where do you, if when Lang is fit again, where do you accommodate him and SEGGS? There's some saying that SEGGS is quite happy wide right if Lang is number 10 in the middle. SEGGS himself is quite versatile, I think, isn't he? Got a good left foot, so he can cut in from that side and have a go at goal. He's already scored 2 for us, hasn't he, with his left foot, which is promising, very promising. But yeah, certainly Lang's, the loss of Lang again, so soon after we got him back and fit and in the team, is a big blow. You can't deny it, and you wouldn't want to deny it, would you?
Any idea about the technicalities on this one? If Matt Ritchie were required for 4 to 8 weeks, that would take us beyond the transfer window, so we couldn't get a fee for him, but we weren't chasing a fee for him. Do you happen to know, or can you guess, whether if a contract is ended by mutual consent, both the club and the player, between Pompey and Matt Ritchie, say in about 8 weeks' time, would he be a free agent, and therefore would he be able to transfer his services to, let's say, for example, Reading?
I think if the club cancelled his contract, and he agreed to that, which I'm sure he would, that makes him a free agent, and that means that anybody can sell him. I believe that's the case. There might be a bit more to it than that. I don't know. I might have oversimplified it there. There'll be somebody at Pompey who knows exactly what needs to happen. But you can sign free agents, can't you? You can sign players who are not under contract anywhere outside of the transfer window. So, clearly Matt Ritchie, as it stands, has got a contract that runs until the end of this current season. But Pompey have indicated that they're quite happy to rip that up for themselves and for the players' good, if that's what is required. So I think that could still happen. Do you think Ritchie might come back in short term? I'd be surprised if that happened, but you never know. Stranger things have happened.
He's our only specialist forward minded right side midfielder. The other 2 guys seem to want to play more on the left, but that doesn't prevent them from playing on the right. If we had, I'm going to get complicated, if we had Marlon Pack available, then we could move John Swift into the number 10 slot. How would that sort of setup grab you?
Yes, I think that would be good. I think Swift, before we signed Swift, I think most people would have said, would have expected him to be a number 10, perhaps more than a number 8 that he is now. The central midfield, the sort of deeper lying central midfield player. So he could certainly do that, and you could still do that. You can do that without Pack, because you can pair Dazal with Leroux, for example, in midfield. We've got Koznovsky as well, hovering around and looking for a start. So you could still do that, and that then frees up SEGGS to go wide right. with Murphy on the left. So you've got options within the squad that we've got. I imagine the manager's still sort of weighing up. It takes a few games, doesn't it? You can play as many friendlies as you like, but not until you play some league games can you see what people are going to do for you in different positions. So, it's a shame that we're without Pack and Lang. That's two big players. And it's even more of a shame that we're without Pack, Lang and Ritchie. Yeah. Three massive players from last season. I've seen a few people as well saying, what a shame potentially all of those three look like they're not going to be in the team when we play Southampton. And I know you shouldn't just look at one game as being more important than others, but fact is Southampton is more important than the others to most fans. And on that day and in that game, you want certainly a few in the team who really sort of know what's on the line, don't you? And you'd certainly put Pack and Ritchie in that group because of their background and their past times here, and you probably put Lang in there as well because he knows, he's been at Pompey long enough to know what the rivalry means, and he would excel in that game, wouldn't he? He'd rise to it. You would think. Not saying some of the other players won't. I mean, you've got John Swift for a start. He'll be up for it, and I'm sure the whole team will be up for it. But with some of them, it'll be in a slightly different way to what you'd see with the likes of Pack and Lang.
We made 10 changes for the Reading game and we crashed out, as journalists like to describe it. But do you think we lost some of the momentum that we built up from Oxford and that had any influence on the way we played in the first 15 minutes against Norwich, which was pretty lackadaisical?
Yeah, possibly. They say you get a winning team together, keep it together and but make winning become a habit for those players. I can understand why he did make all those changes for Reading. It was no surprise, was it? That is the way he's been with the League Cup and to an extent with the FA Cup since he's been here as manager. And we haven't done very well in the Cups as a result. But what we've done in the league has made up for it. If you'd kept that Oxford starting team together, or most of it, even if you'd kept 7 or 8 of them in, would you then have had a different result against Reading and an extra spring in the step and a bit more familiarity with each other at the start of the Norwich game? Maybe. We're guessing, aren't we? Because we'll never know. Whoever you could have put the best 11 now in the world at home to Norwich, but if they make a couple of mistakes from Norwich set pieces, that can happen to anyone, can't it? So we'll have to admit that we just don't know on that score. But I do think there is something in that. I think might have been wiser not to change the whole team. Although, of course, if he'd then kept all those first teamers in against Reading and one of them had picked up an injury, then we'd all have been saying, "Oh, should have changed it." So it's easy for us, isn't it? Easy in hindsight.
Yeah, and of course you mentioned the set pieces against Norwich, but it doesn't help if their keeper has an absolute blinder.
He did, didn't he? Yeah. Well, it was a disastrous first 15 minutes against Norwich and quite a poor first half. But actually, the longer the game went on, the better Pompey got, and I think there was a lot of promise that can be taken from that second half. We did everything we could, but equalised, really, didn't we? Missed the penalty. Or had a penalty saved. Scored, hit the bar. Forced 2 or 3 very good saves out of the keeper. On another day, that could have been 3-2. Some people have said if it had gone on another 10-15 minutes, it could well have been 3-2 to us. The way the shift in momentum in the game had gone. So mustn't get too despondent about it. It's a home defeat. You don't want to start with a home defeat, do you? No, but we've got 3 points on the board after 2 games, which is 1 more than we had last season.
Well said. Have you had a chance to look at all the various angles that were available of the Conor Ogilvie incident, for which, instead of getting a penalty, we got a yellow card?
Yeah, I've seen a few, including one person who was quite close to it in the Fratton end and did a bit of filming from there, I thought it was a penalty. I don't think... I thought there was a bit of contact. It's difficult, isn't it? Because even if there is a bit of contact, it can still be not a dive as such, but there can still be a bit of exaggeration by the player to make the most of that contact and make it look worse than it was. And maybe that is what was in the referee's mind. But I don't think it was an out-and-out dive. Brave call by the referee to rule it. So really, it's one of those where if we I'm glad we don't have VAR in the Championship, very glad, but if we did, I wonder what VAR would have made of it. They'd have studied it for 3 or 4 minutes. We'd probably still be there now, wouldn't we, as VAR looking at different angles of it. Conor Ogilvie doesn't strike me as the sort that not many players do sort of strike you as the sort to dive, do they? You wouldn't think they would need to. But Ogilvie, if he could have, if he took that ball down, and if he could have he'd have had a shot at goal, wouldn't he, if he hadn't gone over? So you would think that he would have preferred that if he could have done, rather than just been looking for a penalty. Especially as we'd missed a penalty earlier. Perhaps he was put on penalty duties after Colby and knew he was going to get a chance to take one. I don't know. No, I thought, I'm trying not to be blue tinted spectacled about it, but I thought it was a penalty and not a dive.
And we want to get your thoughts on the penalty miss, because the keeper had it so well covered. He was kind of like down on his left side waiting for it. And what Bishop did not do, which is what a lot of penalty takers do nowadays, is to watch the keeper as they're getting into their stride to strike the ball and see if the keeper makes an early move. And I think if he incorporated that technique into his penalty taking, he would have seen that the keeper had already planned to go to the keeper's left and could have just stroked it in almost to the other side. What do you think?
Yeah, I've seen, I don't know how scientific this is, but I've seen a few people say that when Bishop puts a penalty to the keeper's right, it tends to be very well placed in the corner, and even if the keeper goes the right way, he doesn't get it. But you look at the ones that Colby has missed or had saved, it's when he goes to the keeper's left, he saves it. So whether the keeper had studied, you imagine nowadays that goalkeepers do study the penalty taking techniques of players they're going to be up against. So whether he'd seen Colby's last 5 or 6 penalties and thought, right, well, if he goes to my left, I've got a good chance as long as I go left. But if he goes to my right, even if I guess right, I won't save it, so I might as well go left. So, maybe keepers are working that out with Colby a little bit. I see the manager has come out, and I'm very pleased to hear it, and said, next penalty Pompey get, Colby Bishop is going to take it. He will want it, and he will be allowed to take it. I think he scored 18 out of 23 for us, which is a good strike rate. There are not too many. Neil Allen did a good piece, did an analysis of Pompey's penalty takers since the year 2000. No one else has taken anything like 23 to start with, so you can't say, there's not somebody out there that has scored 22 out of 23. There are some that have scored sort of 5 out of 5, 6 out of 6, but there aren't too many with a better percentage conversion rate than Bishop. Therefore, you have to say, well, not all penalties are scored these days. Keep him on the duties and let him take the next one and the one after that and the one after that, and he'll score more than he has saved. That's for sure.
Do you think the opposition do get into his head, knowing that Bishop is going to take the penalty? There's no point pretending that somebody else is, so that they surround him and have a go at him. They know that Bishop's going to take the penalty. They were in his ear, several of them, in the 30, 45 seconds, maybe a minute before Colby got to place the ball and back away. Do you think they're getting to him?
I don't know. I'm sure he would say that you expect that as part of the game and it doesn't affect him. Some players would be affected by that, though, wouldn't they? the longer the delay between the penalty being awarded and you being able to take it, the harder it gets. I think. I think you know, as a penalty taker, you just want to get on and whack it in, and you know, without any delays and so on and so forth. But there's always going to be a bit of a delay, especially if the defenders and the goalkeeper are clever and add to that delay. Colby doesn't strike me as the sort to be rattled by that sort of behaviour. He's a big, burly, strong centre forward who's getting elbows and knees in his back all the time and gets all the treatment. I'm sure he gets a fair bit of sledging, as they call it more in cricket than in football. I'm sure he gets all the comments and all the treatment, and he's playing now at a level where you have to learn to live with it and rise above it, really. So, and I think if you said to Colby, you know, if we get a penalty at West Brom, do you fancy it? He'd say yes, absolutely. Don't want anybody else taking it. You know, he scored a fair few last season, including a couple of, as the manager has pointed out, he scored some pressure penalties last season and in the title-winning season. So, yeah, no reason to change the taker, I don't think.
I'm racking my brains. If anybody knows the answer to this, you do. Has Nicholas Schmidt faced a penalty for Pompey yet?
That's a good question. He must have done, mustn't he?
You'd think.
I can't remember him saving any, but which you'd be more inclined to remember rather than him letting one in, wouldn't you? That's a very good question. I'm going to have to go away and research that now. None spring to mind. But if you think how many penalties we've had over the last season or so, I can't believe we haven't had any given against us. He strikes me as somebody who would pull out the odd penalty save. You know, he's a good one-on-one goalkeeper, isn't he?
We do our homework. They did their homework on Colby Bishop, obviously, and worked out that although he's more successful going to the keeper's right, his last couple have gone to the right, so he's almost certainly going to want to mix it up at some point. Let's take a chance and say that he's going to mix it up against us. And I guess that our goalkeepers, along with goalkeeping coach Joe, do a bit of work on this the day before a game. Yeah,
I'm sure they do. I'm sure probably a certain amount of the research is done for them, but I imagine they're presented with some video clips of the opposition's penalty taker stepping up for their last couple. You would hope so, wouldn't you? With so much information out there now and everything is on video. Yeah, all eyes on Nico next time we get one against us now then, isn't it?
Well, let's hope that we're not cursing ourselves for the West Brom game and they end up taking and scoring a penalty. But let's look ahead to West Brom, who were a bit of a bête noire for us last season. Yes, they were, weren't they? But won quite comfortably down here, and then won even more comfortably when we did our little thing of resting a few players. The Hawthorns, I think it was 5-1, and I think it was 4-0 by about 40 minutes, wasn't it? It was game over, and we've had a few. We've had a few hammerings there over the years. We've had a couple of fives and so on. Not a very happy hunting ground. And they've started well, haven't they? Won their first two. Jed Wallace, I see, got a goal when they won at Wrexham last Sunday, I think it was. Or was it? It might have been Saturday, don't know. So it's going to be a difficult game. Not really the sort of away game you want this early in the season, I don't think. I think it's might come a little bit sooner for us. We're still finding our feet. But always going to be a difficult game up there. Struggling to remember the last time we won there, actually. But you'd hope we'd be a bit more stable and a bit more solid than we were last January up there. Have you been? What sort of a gaff is it, the Hawthorns?
Yes, and I like it. I've been many times, not for a while. In fact, I think the last time I was there was the famous last day of the season, 2005, where Pompey fans were all supporting West Brom because they wanted West Brom to win so that Southampton went down from the Premier League, which is exactly what happened. West Brom's great escape was being supported by fans on all four sides of the ground. I know there were some Pompey fans that felt quite uneasy about that because they said you should never go to a game and support the other team against Pompey, but they were exceptional circumstances. Yeah, you always get a good atmosphere there. It's a bit of an old school ground, really. You know, very square, four big stands on all four sides. the home fans make a bit of a noise, like to do the boing boing a little bit, don't they? Jump up and down. I don't know if in 2025 in all seated stadiums you're allowed to jump up and down like that, but they probably do it a little bit and get away with it. And yeah, it's you know, if you'd said to me at the start of the season, which grounds would you be happy to come away from with a squeaky 0-0 draw, that would certainly be one of them. Because if you can go there and get anything, I think you're doing well. I think West Brom will be. It's early to say. You know, they've won their first two, but it's very early. I think they'll be there or thereabouts again this season. Got some good players in their side. Spent a bit of money. Yeah, be a tough game for Pompey Saturday.
Now, nobody got within light years of predicting successfully the score against Norwich, so we'll move swiftly on from that. I will ask you for your predictions for the West Brom game at the end of our chat, but I want to get back to, and you mentioned Southampton, which was perfect for me to do this. You mentioned a bit earlier on that you know, it's got a disproportionate importance. Is it possible that could backfire on us? Well,
could do. Yeah, could do. There's going to be such a big build up to that game, and I think it comes after an international break, doesn't it? So there's going to be so once we've played Preston on the 30th of August, Saturday week, Southampton is then the next game. I think I'm right in saying 14th of September, 15 days after that Preston game. It's going to be a long build up to it, and it's going to get more and more, the build up is going to get more and more intense as it gets near, because fact is we've not played them in the league since 2012. You know, it's getting on for 13 years since we went there. 2-2 draw last time we were there. David Norris's famous injury time volley, which means that April the 7th every year is now David Norris Day for Pompey fans. Yeah, it's gonna be intense and therefore tense. I think that can work either way with the team, can't it? Really, you can be right on it and you can be fired up. And we're not going to have that many fans there. I think they were only allowing us sort of 2,000 or 2,500 fans, who will have been sort of bubbled to the ground by the police altogether. It could. You know, you don't want to go there and lose this early in the season, do you? And give them the bragging rights. But at the same time, if you're up for it and you're ready for it, and everybody knows what it means to the fans, and you can go there and sneak a little win. Keeps you, the feel good from that will keep you going for weeks. So it's going to be big. It's one for me. It's one for everybody to look forward to. The fact that we're on a level footing with them again in the league is great. It's taken us a bit longer than it should have done. You got to go there and not fear it, but you got to enjoy it and in almost sort of enjoy the tribalism that comes with it, and hope for a bit of luck as well, and hope to get out of there with. I think most Pompey fans would probably, if you offered Pompey fans now a point from the away game in September and a win at home in January, I think most people would probably accept that. I don't know if the boot was on the other foot in Southampton, having come down from the Premier League. If you said to them, if you offered them the same deal from their side, I'm not sure they would accept it so readily. They will be wanting to do the double over us. They'll see us as the smaller team of the two, and they'll think that they should be beating us. But I don't know. I'm this far out at this stage. I'm quite hopeful that we can go there and get at least a point. But it'll be great. It'll be a great occasion.
It certainly will. Okay, here comes the crunch time then. West Brom, they're a challenge, but we know they're good. We know that they are likely to be contenders come the back end of the season. But you are an optimist. Are we going to get anything up there?
I am an optimist most weeks, but I'm afraid I'm not an optimist this week. I fear defeat. I don't often predict a defeat, as you know. If I fear the worst, I usually say I think we might eke out a 0-0 draw, a scrappy draw, which I like. I love a scrappy away draw, as you know. But I can't see it this week. I just think, especially on the back of that Norwich defeat, that's put us on the back foot a little bit. Just think West Brom are going to have too much for us at this early stage in the season. I wish this game. I know you can't pick and choose when you play the top teams. And luckily we're not playing as many of the top teams early season as we did last year, which hurt us a little bit. But I can see 3-1 West Brom. Sorry. No, that's not what you wanted to hear, was it? I know.
Well, let's hope you're wrong, but whichever way it goes. Thank you so much, Stephen. Take care.
You too.